Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this Christmas card. This is another in my series of Fast and Beautiful. And this one is a Christmas card that is fast and beautiful. We also had a challenge from my demonstrator group to use a punch or a die in a way that it was not intended. So this one is a design that I came up with that is pretty simple to do and uses a punch in a way that it wasn't intended. So this is my Christmas card. It says Merry Christmas here, and on the inside it says may the simple joys of the season be yours, and it has a little designer series paper and a little ribbon here on the bottom. So let me tell you what you're going to need to make this card. So in order to make this card, what we need is I have a Whisper White base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have a piece of designer series paper, and this is a designer series paper called Season of Cheer. Oh, Year of Cheer Specialty Designer Series paper. And this stuff is just gorgeous. There are a couple of different designs here. So there's this snowflake pattern that I'm using here. Then there's this gold gingham pattern. Isn't that gorgeous? That would make a pretty card for this as well. And let's see, then there is this gorgeous paper that is copper and gold, and I can see all kinds of things being done with that one. And let's see, then there is this paper, and it is a gold, again, foiled paper. These are plain on the back. Lots of times our specialty designer paper, when it's foiled on the front, doesn't have a pattern on the back. But this stuff is just gorgeous, and I think would make stunning Christmas cards. And again, this beautiful paper, if we use it right, can do a lot of the heavy lifting for us on some of our designs. So what I've come up with is using, this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Then I'm using a gold snowflake here, gold foiled snowflake, and this comes from the foiled snowflakes, and this is in the new catalog, and the snowflakes come in gold and silver. Aren't they beautiful? So this could easily also be made up in silver. And this package has, I think it's 24. Yes, it has 24 of the snowflakes, so 12 gold and 12 gold and 12 silver snowflakes. Then in order to make this, we need a scrap of, I used shimmer paper for my sentiment, a scrap of gold, glimmer paper, and a scrap of silver foil paper. All right, so let's just get started, and I'll show you what it takes to make this card. It's really very simple. Oh, there was one more piece. We do need a piece of the gold specialty designer paper that measures 4 by 1 inch, and then we're also using the gold 1/8 of an inch ribbon, and this comes in gold and silver, so you could make the theme silver and do this just as easily. So that's all that we're using. So in this case, we can just go ahead and adhere this piece to the front of our card, and that will be ready to go. And I think I have cut this piece incorrectly, so I'm going to need to cut a piece of paper. So I'm going to take my Whisper White, and I don't know if you've done this before, but when you're cutting, if you put it at 4 1/4, and score it first, then turn and cut it at 5.5, you end up with 2 card bases that are already scored. Just a little tip to help things move along. So let's take this card front here and use my bone folder here to furnish the folds. Here we go. So we'll take our piece of DSP and we will attach it to the front of the card. Now, this is what makes this so fun. The next thing we can do is go ahead and put our snowflake down here on our card. And I'm going to use a little bit of Tombow on the back of this snowflake. All right, so I'm just going to dot a little bit of the glue around this snowflake. Doesn't have to be all over, just enough to make it stay put on the card. All right, and there we go. Now I'm going to show you what I did to make the little holly leaves on this card. What I did was I took, I'm going to do it on the gold piece here. I used this Label Me Pretty punch and got a label out of my piece of scrap. And then I took my little 1/2 inch punch. And what I did was I just took a little bite out of places along here, and all I'm doing is meeting the place that I took a bite last and going around the label here and taking these little 1/2 inch bites around the card here, around this piece, around this label, and then coming down the other side and doing the same thing. And I got this idea, I was inspired on this idea from a demonstrator, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United Kingdom. Her name is Linda Parker, and her website is Papercraft with Crafty. And she's one of the demonstrators in the UK that I follow. She's extremely talented and full of all kinds of original ideas, and she made little holly leaves like this one on her website to decorate a little box that she made, and kept the design super simple. And I thought, you know, that would work beautifully for the idea that I have for the card. So I'm going to take this little label, what's left of it, my holly leaf now, and put it here on my trimmer, roughly so that I've got it down the center. And I'm just going to put a little score line down it so that I can turn this like this and turn it into a little holly leaf. Now, off camera, I went ahead and already did my silver piece and my gold glitter piece. And on this one, I attached those with a mini dimensional. And I think this time around, I'm going to attach them with glue dots, because as you can see, this card stands up pretty high, and I think you'd have a tough time getting that in an envelope. So I'm going to try it this time with, in fact, using the glue dots instead of the dimensionals. So I'm going to start in this one. I'm going to attach my glittery one here down in the center this time. And then I added a glue dot to both the top and the bottom of these holly leaves, because once I got them on here, I didn't want them kind of moving around. So I'm going to continue to add the glue dots and place these on my card. Okay, there I have my holly leaves on my card, and I did a better job than I did this time centering them so you can see this pretty snowflake around the side. The next thing I did was I used these embellishments, and there are little stars and little holly leaves in here, and these embellishments are called Year of Cheer embellishments, and I think there are, let's see if it says how many there are in here. 24 of the little holly leaves and the stars in gold and silver here. And so what I did was I took a little piece of my ribbon here, and I pinched it and folded it in half on the end, and then push that end through the little hole in the top of this. You know, I'm going to cut that, I think, at an angle to get a point. And then fold it in half and see if I can't encourage that through the point here. So I got it started, and I'm going to use my tweezers to grab the end and pull it through. And I'm going to do that again. So now I've got a little star and a little piece of holly on this ribbon. And what I did was I pulled far enough along that I thought I could make a bow, and I tied a knot at the top of the embellishments so that I got it right on the top of the two embellishments. And then I tied my bow on the top here. And then I used another glue dot to take this bow, put a glue dot on the knot, and then place that right at the top of my holly pieces here. Then I took more glue dots and I closed this one over on itself to make a half, and then I took it off and rolled it in my fingers to make almost a little sausage piece out of it, and I put it on the underside of the embellishment here and anchored it to the piece of holly. And I did that for both embellishments. Okay, so there I have my bow and my embellishments on my card. Next, I used the banner punch that we have, and I used a little piece of shimmer paper, and I cut this top banner here with my punch, and I wanted to use my pierce mat here because the stamps I'm going to use are photopolymer, and so I'm going to emboss my messages on here. And I used the Merry Christmas stamp from the Bunch of Blossoms stamp set. And because it's photopolymer, you can encourage this stamp to curl around. And so I got my Merry Christmas stamp curled around so that it would fit on my banner, and I'm going to encourage that down just a little bit further here, so that my Merry Christmas will stay put here on my stamp. Then I used my Versamark here to put my Merry Christmas message on my banner. And you see it shows up a little red. I guess I didn't get that one cleaned as well as I could have, but that's okay because the embossing powder will cover it. So now I've got some gold embossing powder here that I am going to cover this Merry Christmas message with. And there's my Merry Christmas. And I'm going to use my heat tool, I'll move that out of the way for the moment, to hold this down and get this embossed. Okay, so there's my Merry Christmas, and I'm going to let that dry for a second. And while I do that, I'm going to also emboss my message on the inside. So I'll bring back my Versamark, and the other stamp that I used was from the Peaceful Pines that's in the catalog, in the main catalog, carried over from last year, and it says, "May the simple joys of the season be yours." And I'm going to emboss that right here on the inside in the center and cover that with embossing powder. Okay, and I have here my little brush to take away any stray powder that's left on here. Okay, so now I'll put this away and emboss this image. Okay, there I have my embossing done. Now this should be nice and dry, and what I'm going to do is use my bone folder to lift the center of this sentiment and fold back the ends here right along the break of the banner, and I am going to glue this in place so that it's not just flat. I'm going to use a little bit of snail here. Let's see, let me move this out of the way and bring back my silicone mat and add a little bit of snail and get my Merry Christmas put on here. Isn't that pretty? That didn't stay put. I may have to give it some more encouragement. All right, so for the inside of our card, I have this piece. Let me move some of these things out of the way. I have this piece of designer series paper that matches here, and what I'm going to do is cut a length of this ribbon so that it'll go across and behind this little piece of DSP. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put a little bit of snail on one side of this ribbon so that I can get it to stay put on the DSP where I want it. So I'm going to eyeball the center of that, then wrap the ends around, and then put a little bit more snail on the back of my card here and put that into place down here on my card, centered with a little bit of a margin all the way around. And there we have it. As simple as that, a simple and very elegant looking, I think, Christmas card. And where we get to use the Label Me Pretty punch a little bit differently than we might ordinarily. And you can see where you could do this whole thing in silver, because this lovely designer series paper has both silver and gold snowflakes on it. So I might alternate the next time I make this to silver snowflake underneath here and the silver ribbon instead of the gold, and then do my embossing in silver. I think it would be pretty either way. So thanks so much for stopping by and watching my YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. And you can purchase anything here. Now the designer series paper and the snowflakes will be available tomorrow. September 1st is when the new catalog launches. And you're going to find all sorts of wonderful things in there that you'll be able to use for Christmas and holidays. It's just wonderful. Some of the papers this year, in my opinion, are just incredible. And we've got some wonderful, wonderful stuff. But you can purchase anything you see here on my 24/7 shop, www.lbettinger.stampinup.net. And if you don't already have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. People who order from me get a product gift at the end of the month and a reusable card. And the draw for the month of August, I think we have just a day left here. The first is this Love Today planner kit. And so from all of the people that have ordered from me through the month of August, I will select someone to get this wonderful planner kit. And that is the prize draw for August, and I'll have something new for September coming up soon. So thanks again for watching my channel. I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. And the details are always listed below, along with the materials, the sizes, the measurements of everything that you see here and all the products that I used. So until next time, I'll be back with more projects and more cards. Bye.